Before I show you who I am today, you need to see who I was. Before the music, before the label, before the man, there was a kid everyone called Grimey and no one ever knew why.
Just trying to figure out where...
The game's gone. The game's gone.
It's gone.
And the game's gone.
Where is it gone?
The game is gone. The game is absolutely gone.
Convention, shall we? Let's strip away what we expect to happen in our lives. Let's strip away resource, shelter, warmth, comfort, parenting, structure. Let's reintroduce chaotic parenting, inconsistent food, inconsistent shelter, no aspiration, rather no aspiration, and a group or a society around you in which that behaviour is the norm. And put around that a big fence over which people are judging you from and deeming you as being worthless. And let's give you no access to get out of that place. And let's see how you behave. What will happen? It's going to be explosive. It won't be positive.
See, as a kid, yeah, growing up, being called Grimey, it weren't cool. I'm talking like 7, 8, 9. You get me? It meant farted, picked my nose, or came home muddy, or you get me, stinking. That was my parents, and they're like, you Grimey bastard, like Grimey cunt, get yourself upstairs, have a, you know, like just natural East London lingo. And I didn't take it too offensive, you know, like it weren't offensive, it weren't like, it was just normal. But I didn't take it as a compliment, like I knew it weren't a compliment, you get me? But then there was this moment, like I'm about 12, I'm lipsing up one of my, you know what I mean, when first learning about the bees and birds and bees, lipsing up the original Bonnie Blue in the block, and she gave me a love bite on my neck. And as I walked out of the block, one of the elders on the six like, you grimy kid. And for the first time in my life, being called Grimey felt like a compliment. Like, it sounds mad, but it felt like, yeah, you know, that, like, had a ring to it, Grimey kid. And that was the moment something changed, like, I was a street kid finding himself, proud to have female attention, proud to be me. Slightly obnoxious, natural, cheeky, puppy-eyed, slightly perverted, like a youth just embracing the opposite sex appeal and innocence, curiosity and all of that mixed together, you get me? Back then we didn't have social media. It was like if you wanted friends, you had to be outside. If you wanted girls, you had to talk, like networking before we knew what networking was. Shopping centres, markets, bus stops, like bare confident, instant after school. I mean, England, UK, Britain was up front back then. Everyone had a voice, or it felt like everyone had their own voice. Like not being scared and hiding behind other people's voice, you know what I mean? Like East London was grimy before grime had a name. You get me? Like before the genre grime, East London was always a grimy place. School corridors, beatboxing battles, man clashing at lunch, cussing each other's mums and features, that raw, unfiltered energy, you know what I mean? The atmosphere was grimy. Like, it was just a grimy lifestyle. I didn't adapt to the environment. Well, I slightly did adapt to the environment, but the environment adapted to me also. People forget that my name was Grimey before the genre blew up. So when grime music started getting covered by media, blogs, older heads, everyone had their own definition. But I'd tell people, yeah, I'm Grimey, I make music, and they'd assume I made a certain sound, a certain darkness or image, but my meaning of Grimey weren't their meaning of grime. I was just me. My initials are MC, Michael Charles. So before I ever held a mic, I was already an MC by name. Yeah, I think the main source of branding back then was building trust and just saying the word trust and grime and getting heard and known by others, you know. Branding weren't even a real thing back then. It was just about being real and having character. But as the new grime wave exploded, everyone created their own ideas of what grimy or grime meant. Some thought I was trying to be street and gangster, and they didn't understand the comedy, the charm and the realness of my style and the mix. It was so real, it was almost funny because you could relate. And I had nothing, no money, well, hardly any money, hardly any backing, just dreams and whatever I could save through hard work and determination. Obviously there was good times and bad times. We take the good with the bad, and a pinch of salt and all of that. But yeah, trying to brand myself at 15, 16, 17, it was a madness. Trying to keep up with budgets and styles. I tried hundreds of ideas. I tried to change my name, like Grimey, Mike Paul, GMP, for abbreviation. Man started calling me Greater Manchester Police, you know, like, this is... But still, I couldn't let it go. Like, I couldn't let the name Grimey go. I couldn't let this grime and all this work I'd done, I couldn't let it go to waste. I felt like I'd worked hard to become the grimy individual I was. It was mine, and I was proud. But I changed. I grew up. I became a man, a father, a family guy, a businessman. I realized I weren't grimy in a dirty way anymore, only in a sexy way. The name wasn't matching the life I was living. Inside my house, I was nice as pie. Outside, I was confident, charming, meeting people, connecting. But the world painted their own picture. The name carried weight I didn't even mean for it to have, as well as people that was attached to me and stuff like that. And there was live MCs, set MCs, studio MCs, you know, like all different type of MCs, and everyone expected me to be one or the other, like you should be like this or like that. And I always had like a variety, versatility, but I always saw the bigger picture, the glamour, the fashion, the houses, the cars, the lifestyle. Like, I knew what I wanted, but I weren't in a rush to get there because I know and knew that I would and will get there and be here. I wanted to make my thing different, be the first to do something, influence styles and create new trends that hadn't been seen before. I didn't want to be boxed into one tempo or one scene. I wanted to make every genre, but just stay me as a person, like the grimy character. Like, you know when something don't match, like, I don't know, maybe the name Grimy, but I was rapping. I had rap music, or they heard the name Grimy, they just expected to hear D-double-E for some reason or something like that. You get what I'm trying to say? And that's not exactly what it was. So people thought I weren't grimy enough. They didn't understand that my thing was different. And it weren't the street life. It weren't pretending. It was personality, and it was character. It was being real, like a part of me. Even when it was raw, being confident, slightly rude, slightly playful, bold, but still myself. At some point, I stopped trying to brand a name and just put my blood, sweat, and tears on the page. No bending, no pretending, just sounding good to everyone, regardless of age or culture, sonically, you know, like clean and true to me, and relatable lyrics, and learning game, and like even the game, like I didn't know what the game was, like what game he was playing. I feel like we was all playing different games, but talking about one game or one industry, not knowing that there's so many different departments or ways to make a living and a career in this industry or game, as you would call it. So yeah, growing up, I told everyone, yeah, my name's Grimey, and everyone called me Grimy, but now I'm telling whoever's watching this, I want you to be grimy too. Not be me, not copy me, but be grimy in your own way. Confident, raw, honest, a superhero version of yourself, because that's what grimy was for me. A boy trying to be a man wearing a cloak, becoming who he needed to be. Now I've got 5 projects locked and loaded, a label to build, artists to invest in, people to help. The dream was always to own our own music, you get me? As well as living in One Deep Dream. That's my boy One Deep Dream right there. But the dream was to own our own music and our own mix and our masters, and build a record label from the ground up. And it wasn't always the dream, but after stumbling across difficulties or problems within the industry, you soon realize that it's best to stay independent. So the question now is, do I release the next chapter as Grimy or as someone new? Because the story's still being written, as Natasha Bedingfield would say. And this time, you're part of it. Trust. So support, subscribe to youtube.com/@LimeyNever, Instagram @Grimey'sClever, TikTok @DonGrimey. And these are the moments, these are the projects, these are the times that it's all about. Love.
So it's part of the game, isn't it? That's what I think.
What game? Life?
Yeah, it's part of,
It's part of life.
part of,
Part of being in London, a young man in London.
yeah, maybe part of growing up in London. Gets like that. I think so.